Welcome to Truth Be Told. And again, we're without Max today, but I'm Dwight. And for all of you that'll be listening to this, and it kind of won't make sense. I guess that's the other disclaimer we should have put on yesterday's video when we did it, is that for those that are listening to Spotify or any other just audio, some of this is going to make sense. Disclaimer today is that, yeah, I'm not a professional with the horses. I never started riding until I was 50 years old. And then my 12-year-old daughter gave me riding lessons. And she would say, "Dad, sit up straight. Dad, heels down, toes up." And she would tell me, "Keep your arms still." And so I took riding lessons from her when I was 50 years old. And one of the reasons that I did was to make have a relationship with her. She loved the horses, and I've discovered that I love the horses as much as she does. And the other part was that when she was listening to me speak somewhere, she gave me attention because I gave her attention and respect when she was teaching me. And as I discovered that I love them, the horses, as much as she did, that relationship between me and the horses, and my daughter and I, my daughter and me, that developed, and with our other daughters, and so over the years we've just developed that. And our daughters have trained quite a few of the horses that are on the farm. As a matter of fact, that 12-year-old daughter, a few years later, she bought this horse. His name is Marzipanera, and he's a Russian, Polish, Arabian. And she bought him, trained him, and then she said, "Dad, yeah, he's not my kind of a horse." And I rode him for a while, and I said, "He's my kind of a horse." And so I bought Marzi. He's a gelding, even though many say, "Well, if his name's Marzi, must be a mare." He's not a mare, and good thing he doesn't have an inferiority complex or anything along that nature by being called a mare a lot of times. And but some of the principles that I learned with horses have really stood out to me and have affected me in my spiritual life. And I've got a bit, I've got the bridle, and I've got the bit. And a lot of people think that when they want the horse to do something, they got to sit there and they go way back, pull a lot of pressure. But if you watch, I want him to back up. So if you can see how easy, back, 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 back. Once I pull him back a little bit, now I'm telling him to walk on. I squeeze in with my legs, very gentle pressure. And one of the principles in working with a horse, riding a horse, is pressure and release. So now I want him to walk on. If you look at my legs, whoop. Now I want him back up. I go back, 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 and put pressure on him. We hadn't prepared him, as we brought him straight out of the field and come in to do this. And so you notice now that I want him to turn in circles. I'm hardly putting any pressure on the bit. I'm just simply putting the rein. As you can see, the rein here, I'm putting the rein, and I'm going, and now I'm putting inside leg pressure. So he knows to turn around the leg. And you're saying, well, what in the world does that have to do with truth be told and with our relationship with God? And one of the things that I thought about over the years is the gentler that God can be with us. First, I talked yesterday, or in the last video, I talked about the fact of trust. And this horse will go anywhere that I point him because he trusts me. Now, sometimes he'll stop if we're going through a huge water hole, or if we're going through mud, whatever. He'll stop, and he'll drop his head a little bit, and he's looking at it and trying to figure out what it is. And so all I do is lift his head up very gently and squeeze him with my legs, and he'll start moving forward and say, "Okay, if if I trust you, I can depend on you that you're not going to take me into some place that is dangerous for me. Back up, back, 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 back. And uh and how often with God, that whole thing of trust, that God is asking us to do something. He's asking us to be obedient to him, asking us to walk with him, or he's pointing us in a direction and we're looking at it and say, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's a safe place for me to go. And, but the more that you trust God, walk on. So now I'm telling him, I can get him to move forward and without using my legs, without using my reins, and I don't have spurs on, but I can do that by simply a voice command. And I can go, walk on. And now he hears my voice. And that reminds me of what Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice. Well, it's my horse hears my voice. And Jesus said, I my sheep hear my voice and I know them. And after I think that I've ridden Marzi for, I don't know, 13, 14 years now. And I would say my horse hears my voice and I know him and he follows me. Well, he's led by me and back, 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 back. And so he goes, okay, now I'm going to turn him the other way. I'm going to lay my rein on his neck and I'm going to turn him around. And horses are like us as human beings. We have a preferred direction that we want to go. And sometimes it's hard for us. So most horses will be right-handed or left-handed or right-legged or left leg. And and you have to work with them to get them to go in the other direction. They want to make every one of those turns in the same direction. And you work with them and get them to go in the other direction in the way that you want them to go. And God does that in our lives. God will work with us, and we're saying, yeah, I really don't want to go over there. I don't like going in that direction. And so God starts moving us. And he goes, yeah, I want you to go in that direction. And so he moves us, and walk on. And he walks us around. And now I'm putting leg, you'll see my leg on him on his side. And so he's turning there and he's going in that direction. And in these videos that we've done, we're not professionals. We said that right from the beginning, but we've ridden horses now for I've ridden about 18 years. And what I've learned about them, you see his ears went forward. He's listening now. He turns his ear sideways. He wants to know, what are you saying? Does that have something to do with me? And are we that careful to listen to God? So now both ears are back towards me as he's listening to me. And are we that careful to listen for what God is saying to us? Now, some people think, well, if I'm going to move my horse backwards, I got to do this. And they start pulling. Yeah, he's moving backwards. All right. But if I just simply little tug, put my legs on and okay, now walk on, walk on, walk on. And God wants to do that in our lives. It's all about relationship. It's all about trust. And the softer that you can have your horse, the better that your horse is. And when we're riding, we'll often just go a little pull on the rein like this, and we'll go, whoa. And then we sit down and we put our pockets on our pants deep into our seat. And the horse knows by that shift of position that we want them to stop. And so they'll stop up and they'll wait until you give them direction again. And how often in our lives, God will do a woe to us, He'll do a stop to us. And we're sitting there and we start to get impatient. So, God, what's next? What's next? What's next? Well, if you notice that Marzi's quite content to stand here while I'm talking to you, and and while he's in the woe position, because he knows that when he was younger, and I said, whoa, and he didn't want to stop. So I started working him in circles and circles and circles. Well, he had a whole lot of movement, but he wasn't going anywhere. He was staying in the same place. So when you're working with them, you make the thing that you want to do the easiest thing for them to do. And God does that with us in our lives too. We get impatient, and God's saying, whoa, wait a minute, just rest for a while. And that rest in the Lord, wait on the Lord, and just waiting. He's all right now because he knows that there's a possibility that I'm going to say, yeah, when I'm done videoing this, I'm going to say, yeah, we're going on a ride, and now you're going to work. So he's resting now for the work that lies before him. So we want to thank you for joining us again on Truth Be Told. The truth be told is the softer that God can be with us and speak to us, the better that it is. And we get used to listening to those soft commands as God speaks, those soft touches as God is touching in our lives and moving us. So I want to thank you, and just thank you for watching, listening, and to Truth Be Told. And have a great day.